have read 84 fairy tale retellings, and today I'm going to talk to you about all the 5 and 4 stars, hoping you get some inspiration for Fairy Tale February. So I do have my trusty laptop here because 84 is a lot. So I want to make sure I don't forget any. And we're just going through the list. Since we're in moving mode, I don't have most of these books with me to show you physically, so I will be popping them on the screen so you still know what we're talking about. I will not be talking today about any Alice in Wonderland or Peter Pan retellings because they're officially not retellings. However, like I have put Wizard of Oz on the map, I do think you could count it. I would not mind at all if you read any Alice in Wonderland or Peter Pan retellings and still get an extra coin. I think they definitely fit in the fairy tale theme, so go ahead and do that. I am just talking about Christian Andersen and the Grimm Brothers fairy tales today, or at least the retellings I've read of those. First up is Cinder by Marissa Meyer. This is a series who goes through different fairy tales in each book. The first one is Cinderella. I know Rapunzel is in there, and so on, and so on. I really enjoyed the series. It's a YA sci-fi fairy tale retelling, and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 5 stars. I read Curse by Mary O'Regan as an editor because this is a short story collection about, reimagining of the curses in fairy tale as well as new ones. So these are multiple fairy tale retellings, but Neil Gaiman has a story in there. Christina Henry has a story in there. I really enjoyed this story collection, and that doesn't happen a lot with short story collections, so I definitely wanted to include it on this list. I gave it 4 stars, so I would recommend you to read it. I did the audiobook, and it was really good. Then I do have a romance book for you to recommend. It's called Fairy Godmothers Inc. It's by Serena de Wilde, and this is 1 out of 2 romance book I actually enjoyed. It is Fairy Godmothers Inc., right? And there is this fairy tale village that doesn't work as well as it used to, and I can't remember why exactly. However, they decide to lure in tourists, and the fairy godmothers are doing that by starting a wedding business. There are so many fairy tales woven into this. It is a book full of sarcastic humor. I thought it was hilarious. I loved it. But it is a romance. It's absolutely a romance. So if you love romance books, but you still want to participate in Fairy Tale February, and you might, I'm struggling a bit because you normally don't read fairy tale retellings, but you love romances, this might just be the book for you. There is a second book in the series, and it's called Men Are Frogs. I enjoyed that one as well, but not as much as the first book. The first book, I gave 5 stars, which is wild for me for romance. So yeah, absolutely loved it. Next up is Enchanted by Shonda Hahn. This is the first book in the Unfortunate Fairy Tale series. This is a YA, and it was really good. I did not expect it, and since I've read this series, I'm a huge fan of Shonda Hahn. She has multiple retellings, so we will definitely be talking more about her. But this series, this is about Mina Grime, and she is dealing with an old family curse because she is descendant of the Brothers Grimm, and that means finishing their business with a fairy tale, which include trying to outwit a powerful story from making her its next fairy tale victim. She will also encounter multiple fairy tales. There are multiple books in this series, and I loved every single one of them. It was great. I just don't know what else to say. I love it. I gave it 5 stars. Most book in the series, if not all, got 5 stars from me. I would, and I have never seen anyone on YouTube talk about this. I think Shandahan is highly underrated. So if you still have time or place in your TBR, I would start that series. I like, if you love the series The Grimm, you're loving these books. First of all is the first book in the Villain series by Serena Valentino. This is Disney based, they're Disney retellings. However, the Disney movies are based on fairy tales most of the time. So you can definitely read them. The first one is Snow White, the second is Beauty and Beast, the third is Little Mermaid, and so on. And I enjoyed a lot of those. I am not done with the series yet, but they're really good. The first one is not my favorite. They get better and better. But I think this is definitely a series to consider. And the covers are so much fun because you can take the cover off. They have the pretty face, right? And then if you take that cover on, you see the evil side of them. Or the other side inside, and I love it. I love those books, so would recommend. If you want a quick read, you love sarcastic humor, and you want, again, a mix of fairy tales and mostly just fairy tale vibes, I Hate Fairyland by Scotty Young might be for you. I absolutely love this graphic novel. No, it's comic. It's a comic because it's not wrapped up. Yeah, it's a comic. There are many of them, and they are so enjoyable. We are following Gertie, Gert, and she's a woman, a grown-up woman, but she is stuck in the body of a 6-year-old. And she got dragged into Fairyland, and she absolutely hates it. And there are many fairy tales. She has a fly that is kind of working in the same way as Jiminy from Pinocchio. Then there are Wizard of Oz reference in there. It's a very satirical, dark humor comic about fairy tales, and I absolutely loved it. There is blood in the illustrations, in case that is something you have to worry about. I loved the art done. Then we have The Day I Fell in a Fairy Tale by Ben Miller. I absolutely loved it. Ben Miller is such a good storyteller. This is a middle grade. It's about Lana and Harrison, their siblings, and they find a portal to the fairy tale world in their local supermarket. It is very interesting. It's such a twist. I so enjoyed it. This is one of my favorite retellings that are all mixed up because you do see multiple characters, and when they arrive, the stories look a lot darker than they remember them to be. So obviously, I loved it. They have to fight an evil witch. Give me an evil witch any time of the day. Yeah, another mixed fairy tale retelling I would highly recommend. Then we have Roxy Jones and a Great Fairy Tale Cover Up by Angela Wolf. This is again a mixed fairy tale I highly enjoyed. It's a middle grade, but it's very modern, very witty. And it says it's a hilarious modern fairy tale mashed up in a world in which witches are real, magic is real, and fairy tales are not only real, but recent history. Once upon a modern time, in the city of Rixopolis, the kingdom of Illustricia, lived 12-year-old Roxy Humperdinck, half-sister to Hansel and Gretel. Yes, the Hansel and Gretel. Not that she knows it. Enter Cinderella, call me Jones, who most definitely does not want to marry ghastly Prince Charming and is far too busy hunting for his lost relics of the cursed kingdom. But now she needs Roxy's help, and Roxy about to discover the truth about her world and her family, that witches are real, magic is real, and fairy tales are not only real, but recent history. I love this book. It is very witty. it's a bit sarcastic again, like, yes, the Hansel and Gretel. I absolutely loved it. It's a middle grade, so it goes fast. So I always love those for readathons, and I did the audiobook, and it was really good. Next up is the series The Land of Stories. The first one is called The Wishing Well. This is by Chris Colver. This series is highly popular, so you probably already are familiar with it. But we're following Alex and Connor, and they get sucked in a fairy tale book. So, they're stuck to the fairy tale village, and they're getting in all sorts of trouble. They meet all kinds of fairy tale characters. It was lovely. I gave it 5 stars again, because we are talking about the 5 stars currently. So, you could have foreseen that. I still need to continue this. I've not read beyond the first book, but I absolutely love the first book. And it's not specific one fairy tale. It has multiple. So that is also enjoyable if you don't want to choose a specific fairy tale. Next up is Tilly and the Book Wanderers. This is the series Pages & Co. by Anna James. You all know I love this series. Again, most of these books in this series has been 5 stars. The first book is about Anne of Green Gables and Alice in Wonderland. However, Tilly has the powers to walk into stories and experience them, and her favorite characters can come out of the story and visit her in the bookstore she lives in. The best book from the series for Fairy Tale February would be the second book. It's called Tilly and the Lost Fairy Tales. You will encounter many fairy tales, but you have to read the first book first. But Alice is in there, so I would definitely count it as an Alice reimagining, which you can count for Fairy Tale February, the first book. But if you have read the first book and you should continue this series, I highly recommend picking up the second book. I loved it. Might be one of my favorites. And you will see multiple fairy tales. So it would definitely make sense in February. Then we have Night Books by J.A. White. I have talked about this book many, many times because I love it. The plot twist is absolutely fairy tale related. And I'm not going to tell you which fairy tale it is because it will spoil stuff. It will spoil the twist, but I love this book. I cannot tell you how much I love this. You should read it. This is about a kid who got bullied for writing his scary stories. He loves writing scary stories, but he gets bullied. Nobody comes on his birthday, not even his best friend. So at night, when he's so upset, he decides to burn his night books. He calls the notebooks he writes a scary story in his night books, and he decided to burn them. But he might get trapped before that happened, and he meets another girl. It's such an interesting story. It is now also a Netflix movie, which I also highly recommend. The graphics are really good. It looks beautiful. They nailed it. It's amazing. Juniper and Thorn by Ava Reed is a retelling of a less familiar fairy tale that is called the Juniper Tree. This is a darker retelling. If you want dark gothic vibe, this book is for you. It is about 2 daughters and a very overprotected father. And one of the girls is trying to sneak out, and they have goblins in their garden. Like, it's all magical, but also very dark, very gothic. Women are not allowed to do a lot, and one is trying to sneak out and still do stuff. It's that kind of book. I really enjoyed it, and I now want to read the original fairy tale because of it. Then I have The Witch Guide to Cooking with Children by Keith McGowan. This is a Hansel and Gretel retelling, and I enjoyed it so much, specifically the Diary of the Witch. And I'm just going to read the blurb to you, because that says a lot, but not too much. And I think it does a better job than if I do it out of my head. So when Saul and Connie Link moved to Grand Creek, one of the first people to welcome them is an older woman, Faye Holiday, and her friendly dog, Swift, who carries a very strange bone in his mouth. Saul knows a lot more than the average 11-year-old, so when he identifies the bone as a human femur, he and Connie begin to wonder if their new neighbor is up to no good. In a spine-tingling adventure that makes them think twice about who they can trust, Saul and Connie discover the dangerous secrets lurk in even the most pleasant neighborhoods. This book, it's amazing. It has it definitely has the base of Hansel and Gretel, but modernized. And then you get to see entries in the witch diary, which is she's writing the witch guide to cooking with children. And those diary entries, that made the whole book for me. I absolutely loved it. And I do tend to love Hansel and Gretel retellings that you also get the POV of the witch. Another one of my all-time favorite retellings is also a Hansel and Gretel retelling, and it's called Gretel by Christopher Coleman. This is adult. This is a horror retelling of Hansel and Gretel. It's an adult book. There's an ancient evil in the backcountry, dormant for centuries, but now hungry and lurking. When it's set inside on an unsuspecting mother on routine morning along an isolated stretch of highway, a quiet farming family is suddenly thrust into a world of unspeakable terror, and a young girl must learn to be a hero. I love this book. You again get the POV of the witch, and you mostly follow this girl in her capture. It was amazing. It's one of my favorite retellings, and I definitely need to continue this series because there are more books. I think there are 4 or 5 in this. The second book is called Marlene's Revenge, and I really want to read it. So I hope I can squeeze it in February, but the TBR is getting long, so we'll see. Another great Hansel and Gretel retelling I enjoyed is Sweetly by Jackson Pierce. I only discovered this was the second book in the series while I was reading it, so I want to read the first in this. There are 4 books in the series. I want to read the first book in Fairytale February, but the second book is a Hansel and Gretel retelling, and I highly enjoyed it. This is about Gretchen and Ansel, and Gretchen had a twin sister that disappeared in the Witchy Woods. And they're traveling and they come across this very sweet woman with a candy shop, and they stay there. Seems all lovely. They're trying to forget their past until it meets, catches up with them. Basically, I really enjoyed this. However, this is a second in a series, so you probably should read Red Sisters first. That is the first book. That is Red Riding Hood retelling. That comes back in this book, so it did spoil a bit of the first book for me, but it was still very understandable. So if you don't care about the rest and you just want to read this, you can totally do so. However, you will be a bit spoiled for the first book. I also have Hansel and Gretel by Neil Gaiman, illustrated by Lorenzo Mattoni, and these pages are all illustrated. However, it is described as a reimagining of Hansel and Gretel, and I felt it was very, very close to the original, but they're very sort of disturbing, scary looking black and white pictures, and I loved it. But I thought it would be more of a retelling, and it was more true to the original Hansel and Gretel than I expected it to be. A Darkening of Dragons by S.A. Patrick is a Pied Piper retelling. It's a middle grade. There are dragons in it, and I loved it. We follow Patch Brightwater. He's a piper, and he's in jail for playing a forbidden song. And, there is kind of a battle going on which breaks the jail wall, and they escape. And on his way to escape, he meets all those friends, dragons, and stuff like that. And he has to battle the worst Pied Piper. Why all Pied Pipers have gotten a bad reputation, and actually there is now a forbidden song. He has to battle him. I love the series. It's a trilogy. I don't see a lot of Pied Piper retellings, and this was a really, really good one. So I highly recommend it. If you like Starfell or The Wizard of Oz, I do think you really love this book. It is a journey book where on their journey they meet a lot of new friends. I have found this book as a Beauty and the Beast retelling. However, I do think it's actually a East of the Sun and West of the Moon retelling, but I haven't read the original yet, so I can't tell you exactly. But it's uprooted by Naomi Novik. I really enjoyed this. And this is about Agnieszka, and she lives in a very small village. Every 10 years, they sacrifice a woman to the dragon. Or he's a wizard. He's a wizard dragon, immortal, but still a man. And anyway, they sacrifice a girl every 10 years to be his servant for 10 years, and then he gets a new one. And we follow Agnieszka as she is sacrificed to this dragon wizard. I enjoyed the story. It is a bit of a slower one, but that's fine, and I gave it 4 stars. Beastly by Alex Flynn is another Beauty and the Beast retelling that I really enjoyed. I gave it 4 stars, and this is definitely a modern retelling, and there's a lot of technology involved, which I really enjoy. And you get the POV of the beast, and I just really enjoyed this one. I don't want to tell too much because they are retellings, so you know the base of the story already. And I would like to mention Of Beast and Beauty by Shanda Han. This is the first book in the Daughters of Evil series. And this is a Beauty and the Beast retelling, but there are, I believe, 7 books in this series. 7 Vengeful Sisters, 7 Fairy Tale Kingdoms, 7 Daughters of Evil. And each book has a different fairy tale. I really enjoyed it. This is a typical YA, but they're really good. They're really addicting. You read through them fast. I gave it 3 stars, but I really enjoyed it. So, in each book you follow one of the sisters, and in this one it's Rosalie, and she is an adopted daughter of Lady Evil. And it's my duty to enter into a loveless and hate-filled marriage with the narcissistic crown prince of Beast. It is really, really fun. I highly recommend it, even if it's not a 4 or 5 star. Poisoned by Jennifer Donnelly is a Snow White retelling. I gave it 4 stars. It does has a typical YA feel and build to it. Sophie is riding through the forest with the huntsman, and everybody thinks she is too kind and too foolish to rule. So the hunter has been brought there to kill her. Sophie managed to survive with 7 strangers because of 7 strangers. But when she finds out the jealous queen might not be to blame, we're getting a book out of it. I did really enjoy this. And it's a bit different, so I like it. I think this is my favorite Little Mermaid retelling, and it's Part of Your World by Liz Braswell. I gave it 4 stars, and it's obviously a Little Mermaid retelling, and it's set like 5 years after the movie when Ariel is actual queen of Atlantica. And Ursula is actually running Eric's kingdom on land. But Ursula is trying to threat Atlantica once again, and Ursula needs to return to the human world, and the prince again, she once left. It was very good. I enjoyed it. The ending was, it left something that I would have wanted a bit more of it, but it was a very enjoyable retelling, so I would recommend it. The Sea Witch by Sarah Henning. This was a good book, but not spectacular to me. I gave it 3 stars. And it says, everyone knows what happened in the end. A mermaid, a prince, and true love's kiss. But before that young siren's tale, there were 3 friends. One feared, one royal, and one already dead. This is a bit of a historical setting. It was really good, and you get the POV of the sea witch. So, Ursula, basically. But this is not a Disney book, so yeah, you get the point of view of the sea witch. Another Little Mermaid retelling is part of your nightmare. This immediately starts a new series off, which is the Disney Chill series. It's a middle grade series where we it's Goosebumps meet Disney villains in the modern setting. So in this, it was 11-year-old Shelley Anderson, and she just wanted to be popular. You know, she goes to a new school and stuff like that. So she's struggling a bit. She finds a mysterious shell which summons Ursula. She makes a deal with her to become popular, and you know, she has to deal with the aftermath. I enjoyed it. I gave it 3.5 stars. No, I gave it 4 stars. It was good. It was enjoyable. It's very quick read. I think that was all the 4 or 5 star retellings that I really wanted to talk to you about. Even some 3 stars in there. I hope you did get some inspiration for Fairytale February. We will start the readathon on the 1st of February with some sprints. So if you like to join us, feel free to do so. You don't have to read Fairytale retellings. You don't even have to participate in the readathon, but you can join the reading sprints nonetheless. I have linked my Goodreads list down below if you want to see all 84 retellings that I've read and what I've ranked them. If you need some more inspiration, I also linked down the Google Docs for the Fairytale February documents where you can find the graphic to put your TBR on social media, but also the rewards you can buy in the Enchanted Treasure shop. All that good stuff is linked down below, as well as the announcement video for Fairytale February, so you know what I'm talking about and why I'm so Fairytale focused these Fridays. Thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe if you want to see more cases from me, and I will see you in the next one. Bye, nerd!